Hey guys, just a bit of warning. I am recording these while I am on the road, so I apologize for the lack of, I guess you would say, quality in my audio recording. I'm using my laptop, and I'm trying to do this as fast and as best as I can to keep you guys up to date with content, while at the same time trying to enjoy having some time off. So if it's any good, please let me know. If it needs improvement, I apologize, and everything will be back to normal as soon as I can, I promise. After your sister died, you and your fiancé took in her kids. Your niece has befriended several eldritch horrors. Your nephew keeps summoning demons to fight, and somehow you've got to explain to your increasingly horrified fiancé that this is your side of the family. What the actual fuck? Melanie, get in here, please! The voice of Kendra, my lovely fiancé, was somewhere between panicked and angry. I hurried up the stairs to find her. When I stepped onto the landing, the hallway was pitch black, which it shouldn't have been at high noon in midsummer. There was a faint light coming from the closed door of my nephew, Cody's room, and I hurried over, knowing what I would see before I opened the door. I got the door opened and spotted exactly what I expected to see. Cody was seated between two ritual summoning circles, from which amorphous beings smoked and sizzled like heat waves in and out of existence. I glanced around and frowned. Cody had used red crayon to make the circles, and they were too small. The poor penmanship probably was the reason the demonic beings were flickering in and out as they glared at each other. I looked to my left, and Kendra was pressed into a corner in absolute fear as she watched the two beings who, when they were in this plane of existence, looking to be locked in an intense staring contest. "Cody Johnson," I said sternly, planting my hands on my hips. "Just what do you think you're doing?" My question pulled him from his fascinated trance as he jerked his head around to look at me wide-eyed. He took a moment to notice Kendra, and then looked just a little afraid. "I wanted to see who would win," he said, his little 6-year-old voice wavering slightly. I sighed and shook my head as I stepped further into the room, pulling an alcohol wipe from the canister on his desk. "Win what, Cody?" I asked. He had an impish little smile on his face and said, "A staring contest?" At that moment, before I could say anything, Cody's twin sister Haley busted into the room, shouting, "Auntie Melanie! Auntie Kendra! Look! I made a new friend!" One of the demons looked up and blinked. The other one let out a triumphant roar that caused Kendra to scream in horror as the loser was sucked backward through the summoning circles to whatever part of hell he belonged in. The winning demon turned to Cody and held out his hand. The little boy reached in the pocket of his cargo shorts and pulled out a large bag of cinnamon candies and handed them over. The demon vanished. Well, it wasn't the worst trade ever. I turned to Haley and looked at the thing she had carried home. It took me a moment to identify it as some sort of shrunken leviathan. Haley had managed to wrangle it in 6 different pink hair clip bows that had previously been in her own hair that morning when she went to school. I knelt down and started trying to get the crayon stains off the fake hardwood floor of Cody's room and made a mental note to get him a play mat that he could ruin rather than my floors. "That's nice, my little sugar skull, but don't you think you should let him go?" I asked in my most persuasive voice. "I'm sure your new friend has its own home to go to." The little 6-year-old girl looked betrayed and shook her head. "No! He's my friend, and he's going to live with me and be my friend forever, and we can have tea parties and play dress up and have all kinds of fun. doing? The crayon wasn't coming off. I was going to have to try and steam it. I got up and noticed that Cody had scooted himself closer to Kendra, who looked ready to faint. I looked at Haley. One crisis at a time. Haley, I said, put it back. You can visit your new friend anytime you want. But look, it's scaring Auntie Kendra. The little girl turned to Kendra just as Cody reached out to touch her, and she unfroze with a scream. She sank to her knees, and Cody scrambled back from her while Haley screwed up her face in pain at the high-pitched sound. She kept screaming, and Cody backed up against his bed looking scared. Okay. Both of you, out in the backyard to play. Haley, let your new friend go home. Cody, no more summoning today. Now, outside, both of you. I almost shouted the words as Kendra took a deep breath and kept screaming. Both kids scrambled out of the room. I could hear them thumping downstairs as fast as their little legs could carry them. Once I heard the back door slam shut, I turned my full focus on Kendra. She had slid her hands into her hair and was still screaming. I made my way over to her and crouched down in front of her. I reached up and gently pulled her neatly manicured nails from her scalp and out of her pretty black corkscrew curls. I waited for her to take a breath before I clapped my hand over her mouth. Kendra, baby, look at me. I kept my voice soothing and light. She looked at me, still panicked and not really seeing me. I sat down fully on the floor, keeping her hands in mine, and waited for her to calm down. When she started breathing normally, I pulled my hand away from her mouth and she sucked in a deep gulp of air. What the fuck was your brother-in-law into? She whisper-screamed at me. What did he teach his children? I couldn't fight the giggle that slipped out of me. She looked shocked at my giggle and scowled at me. What is so funny? I tried to control myself and smiled at her. Baby, it's not from Keith's side of the family, I said. She looked confused. It's from my side, I said with a slight grin.